Now at 10 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the murder suspect in the Edna cheerleader confesses.
A 42-year-old man from Victoria is facing felony charges and a large fine for crimes involving children.
And 6 candidates are racing for mayor of Victoria. We interviewed the last candidate tonight.
We are looking at the cloud cover and the light rain that'll be with us tonight and tomorrow morning. Now, Friday is when the big rain gets here, so you'll need to hear what that forecast is going to look like. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Plus, the Roll Tide rolled out, and they did it in fashion. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
The funeral of Lisbeth Medina was held Tuesday. The Jackson County Herald-Tribune reports the funeral was held in Grand Island, Nebraska, where most of her family lives. The 16-year-old Edna High School cheerleader was found dead December 5th in the apartment she shared with her mother. Authorities say she was murdered and they have arrested Rafael Romero as a suspect. The Herald-Tribune reports Romero has confessed to the murder.
42-year-old Tony Garcia of Victoria was arrested this morning by U.S. Marshals. Garcia was taken into custody in the 3300 block of Cedar Street. U.S. Marshals had arrest warrants on 2 felony charges, including indecency with a child sexual contact. Garcia is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $75,000 bond.
On Sunday night at 8:08, the DPS worked a 2-vehicle triple fatal crash on Alt US 90 East on the Navidad River Bridge in Lavaca County. A total of 3 people died. Authorities said a 2022 white Honda Accord was going eastbound on US 90A, while a 2018 Ford Explorer was going westbound on US 90A. The Honda crossed the center line on the Navidad River Bridge and hit the Ford Explorer. The Ford spun into the eastbound lane, hit the guardrail, and went up in flames. The driver of the Honda was identified as 25-year-old Marielle Sanchez from Victoria. The driver of the Ford Explorer was identified as David Jones, and the passenger in the Ford Explorer was identified as Carla Jones, both age 62. The couple was from Hallettsville.
The Wharton man arrested last week in El Campo on charges connected to a reported relationship with a runaway teenager is out on bond. The Wharton Journal-Spectator reports 20-year-old Kayla Moreno was arrested by El Campo police Thursday and charged with 4 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a minor and 2 other accounts. His bond on the aggravated sexual assault charges was dropped from $125,000 per charge to $10,000 per charge.
The special election for Victoria mayor has 6 candidates in the race. Mayoral candidate Jacob Saucedo says he wants to focus on poverty and homelessness in Victoria. He says Victoria has an almost 18% poverty rate compared to a state average of 14% and a 12% national rate.
The north side of town is thriving, and the south side of town is being ravaged. And I believe that, when it comes to Victoria, I want people to come to Victoria and feel like we're hospitable, that we're, fun and inviting.
Early voting starts January 17th and ends January 30th. Election day is February 3rd.
And here's a look at the other 5 candidates: Josephine Solis, Dwayne Crocker, Carissa Winters, Peter Brown, and Robert Constantine. You can learn more about these candidates at CrossroadsToday.com. So here is your viewer poll tonight. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, which mayoral candidate are you supporting right now? According to our results, it looks like Josephine, well, actually no, it looks like Carissa Winters is taking the lead with 41% tonight. Thank you for voting tonight. Visit us tomorrow for our latest viewer poll.
And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. We had some coolness today. We had some humidity, Mac. We had some rain.
Yeah.
What about tomorrow? All 3 or none of the above?
All of the above. Yeah, we're probably going to see a little bit more drizzle in the morning hours. We've got some drizzle already over our area, but right about here, Southern Rockies, I've been telling you this for what, a week now. It's fine, it's organized, it's really happening, and it's really moving toward us. I think that Friday night we're going to have some significant rainfall around the area. We'll try and talk about how much and when it clears out. All that coming up in just a moment. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Mac, thank you. At least 9 Israeli soldiers have been killed during an ambush in one of the deadliest single attacks Hamas militants have carried out since the ground invasion of Gaza began. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected international pressure for a ceasefire. On Tuesday, the UNGA voted overwhelmingly to demand a humanitarian ceasefire.
President Biden also warned that Israel is losing international support because of what he called its indiscriminate bombing. This as millions of people in Gaza remain homeless.
In Los Angeles, demonstrators shutting down the 110 freeway during morning rush hour, demanding a humanitarian ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. The action coming just as worldwide calls grow for a truce. More than 150 countries from the UN's General Assembly voting in favor of a ceasefire. But President Biden and the U.S. still supporting the war against Hamas. However, Biden acknowledging the lack of global support is because of, quote, indiscriminate bombing of Gaza.
Well, I have had conversations with Bibi Netanyahu, and I want to make sure that we don't forget what we're doing here.
Israel Defense Forces say its attacks are based on precision-based intelligence. Much of Gaza has been destroyed. Right now, more than 18,000 people dead, according to Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, compared to 1,200 killed in Israel in the Hamas terror attacks there back in October, according to the Prime Minister's office. In Gaza, nearly 2 million people remain displaced. Video shows homeless shelters in the war-torn region flooded by heavy rain. Conditions continue to worsen, even in areas meant to be a refuge. A massive strike in Rafah, killing at least 22 people. This young girl crying, the house fell on our heads. And this elderly woman weeping over her infant grandson killed by a strike.
We're going to continue to, again, urge the Israelis to be as careful and as deliberate as possible in their targeting.
The IDF estimates that at least 115 hostages remain in the custody of Hamas. Tim Pulliam, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The House has authorized the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The House's investigation raised ethical questions, but no evidence emerged that he acted corruptly or accepted bribes in his current role or previous office as vice president. House Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team faced pressure to show progress in the nearly year-long probe centered around the business dealings of Biden's family members. Biden called the effort a, quote, baseless political stunt, unquote.
Turning to the U.S. economy now, the Federal Reserve met this afternoon on deciding whether to raise interest rates.
If inflation keeps trending lower, then economists think the Fed could even start to cut rates next year.
For the third time in a row, the Federal Reserve leaving interest rates untouched.
Inflation has eased from its highs, and this has come without a significant increase in unemployment. That's very good news.
This after the central bank already raised them 11 times since March of last year. It's the clearest sign so far that the Fed may be getting closer to the end of its rate hiking streak, likely making this critical decision because it believes the economy has been moving mostly in the right direction with inflation cooling. New data shows inflation slowed to a rate of 3.1% last month, down slightly from 3.2% in October.
The lower inflation readings over the past several months are welcome, but we will need to see further evidence to build confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our goal. While we believe that our policy rate is likely at or near its peak for this tightening cycle, we are prepared to tighten policy further if appropriate.
Federal officials say if inflation does continue to slow, they project 3 rate cuts next year. And that would be helpful for borrowers paying off credit card debt or buying a home. In anticipation of potential Fed rate cuts, the cost of a new mortgage is dropping. If you take out a $400,000 mortgage at today's average 7% rate, your monthly payment at about $2,600 is almost $300 cheaper than in October when rates hit 8%. And though these rates are coming down, they're still close to 20-year highs.
Experts say even though inflation is down, it is still high, above the Fed's 2% target. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
No one was hurt after a three-car wreck today. It happened just before noon. A 2018 Ford F-250 was traveling north on Main Street and tried to make a left turn into the Texan and failed to yield right-of-way to a 2023 GMC Yukon traveling southbound in the outside lane and then collided with the GMC Yukon. The Yukon then hit a 2012 Nissan Sentra.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Port O'Connor's Community Garden Club raised $3,000 to turn an empty lot into a community green space and garden. Plus, a local business owner and artist received the birth of Jesus Christ, or rather recreated the birth of Jesus Christ through bales of hay. The exhibit is open to the public in Port Lavaca. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us coming up on 25 News now at 10. A man turned himself into police custody in Miami after he confessed to killing 2 women.
Also ahead, a drug bust spanning from Houston to rural Arkansas leads to the arrest of over 10 people. A man is in custody after police said he shot and killed his ex-girlfriend and her mother in a condominium in Miami this morning. Police said a 22-year-old woman and her mother, a 50-year-old woman, had been found shot inside a unit. Police said a man identified as the ex-boyfriend somehow made his way into the building and ambushed the woman. The man later turned himself into West Miami police and confessed to the crime. His identity hasn't yet been released, but Miami police took him into custody. 18 people from the Houston area have been arrested in connection with burglaries at pharmacies in Arkansas, where more than $1 million worth of drugs have been taken. Authorities said this was an organized crime ring that targeted pharmacies in rural Arkansas. The burglaries took place between February of 2022 and November of this year. More than 96,000 pills were stolen. Investigators even recovered $79,000 in cash, 6 guns, and $330,000 in jewelry, a great deal of which was custom made.
They traveled by rental car from Texas to Arkansas, where in the early morning hours they would shatter the glass at pharmacy locations then low crawl on the floor to evade motion detectors, and systematically remove dangerous opioid, benzodiazepine, and other scheduled medications from pharmacy shelves. These narcotics were then returned and distributed to the streets of Houston, Texas.
Those arrested face charges including conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute Schedule 2 through 5 controlled substances, as well as pharmacy burglary and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Children and teens love scrolling through social media, and as the weather turns colder, they may turn to their screens even more.
But you may want to set some guidelines to support their mental health.
Social media usage among young people has surged, with teens often using it as a way to connect with friends, for entertainment, or even as a learning tool. But for some, overuse may lead to stress or unsafe behaviors. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that families build a media plan to balance time with and without devices. That includes screen-free times and activities, as well as having regular discussions about online activities. Open conversations about social media may help kids understand what is real and what is edited, as well as to recognize inappropriate content. Setting a good example is also important to helping become a strong role model. Many apps and devices also allow parents to set privacy settings or screen limits to create safety rules and avoid unauthorized purchases. Finally, deciding whether a child should get a cell phone is a big decision, but setting guidelines and healthy practices may help ease any concerns of overuse. With this Medical Minute, I'm Justin Finch, ABC News.
Here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Cuero Record. The Cuero Regional Hospital is asking residents to take part in their Health Connect plan as a way to better improve the health care in the community. And Christmas is here in downtown Cuero. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. When is winter coming to Victoria, Mac?
Well, I think we're in it. This is it.
Oh,
I don't expect it to be a whole lot colder for Christmas. As a matter of fact, we'll be certainly talking about that in the next couple of days. So, yeah, this feels like, cool December weather. 55 right about now. This afternoon we got up to 64, very short thermometer because of the cloud cover that we had over the area. And we did manage to get 0.14 of an inch of rain. That's at the airport. Some areas of town got about 1/3 of an inch over at Riverside Park. But the big event is on Friday. We've been telling you about it for about a week. I expect heavy rain on Friday afternoon and evening. We'll talk about it and plan your weekend coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. We had a little bit of everything today with some steady rain this morning, and then we went to just cloudy. Right about now, pretty much everybody is in the 50s. We're looking at 61 down at Port O'Connor, but Gonzales, Nixon, Karn City, pretty much everybody else is around 55, 56 degrees. Our winds are still out of the northeast. They were stronger earlier today, but tonight we sort of settled down. Now we're looking for all this moisture that has been piling up over the place for the last 24 hours, and you can see how it's all really getting ready for all of the ingredients to come together. We've got the humidity, we've got the moisture, now we need the lifting, and that will be coming courtesy of two things. First, the frontal system, and then the fact that there's an upper air low on top of it. What that means is that there's going to be a lot of vertical movement of the air, and that is going to give us the chance for some heavier rain. Already in the Panhandle, they had some thunderstorms. You can see them right about there. We've got snow and ice in the western Kansas and Nebraska, snow throughout much of the southern Rockies all the way down to Santa Fe, New Mexico. While we're in the 50s here, they're not doing too bad in the 40s up there. That's because the cold air hasn't moved out of the Rockies. The cold air is kind of a pocket right here, and that's the one that's going to be dropping down and triggering all that activity. So let's take a look at Future Tracker, all right? Watch the time up here. That's 10 o'clock tonight. We go through tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. What do you see? Clouds and a little light rain. Then we go through Thursday afternoon. There may be a little break in the cloud deck for about an hour or two in the afternoon. That's going to help get us up into the upper 60s. And then we go through Friday sunrise. We'll be picking up the cloud deck. We'll be watching the frontal system move down, and you can see how it gets through our area Friday sundown. Right about here is when we expect the rain to come through as a band. In fact, most of it I think will be after sundown. So we're talking Friday night, overnight into Saturday morning. The good news is that by Saturday morning, it all blows away. As a matter of fact, Sunday is going to be very nice around here with lots of cool, dry air. So for those of you in Port Lavaca looking for a low of 58, only up to 6 tomorrow. Partly to mostly cloudy, except for the little afternoon thing. Then 54 overnight, 66 tomorrow. Mostly cloudy with a little bit of rays of sun late in the afternoon. And so we look for the next 7 days. Tomorrow, a sprinkle or two. Main event coming in late on Friday. Most of Friday evening, I think, is going to be on the showery side. Then the good news is that everything blows away on Saturday morning. We'll only be up to 62, so it's not a very cold front. But as you can see, Saturday and Sunday are looking real good, and we get a break all the way to Monday and Tuesday of the following week. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Zach Brown with sports.
Draymond Green has been suspended after yet another violent incident. I'll have the details coming up in sports. The Tidehaven Tigers were sent off to Arlington, and they did it in fashion. The community showed up early to Tidehaven High School to wish their favorite Tigers good luck. These are shots sent in by you guys. Here's the bus leaving the city getting a nice police escort. Thanks to everyone who sent in their photos with their signs, their families. One person even saying all they want for Christmas is a Tidehaven. There she is right there, a Tidehaven title. That's all she wants. Well, if they're going to get it, they'll have to snap the 31-game winning streak of the Gunner Tigers. That game is at 7 p.m. tomorrow at AT&T Stadium. Victoria East alum Bailey Zappi just balled out against the Steelers last week, and he had 3 touchdown passes to back that up. One of those to former Cowboy Ezekiel Elliott. Well, this week he's going to have to do it against a Chiefs team coming off a tough loss to the Buffalo Bills. He says the Pats defense will have their hands full with Pat Mahomes, and he's got his full with the Chiefs defense.
I mean, just watching a lot of film, understanding, what they like to do. They do a lot of things, so I think a lot of it just comes down to the communication between me and DA and the offensive line, trying to get on the same page. As long as we're on the same page, everything will hopefully go well. But you're just trying to, believe in the offensive line that they're going to pick up the pressures, whatever they bring, and just being able to stand back there confidently and just, take care of the football and throw the, open guys and let them make plays.
It will be his second consecutive start. The Shiner Lady Comanches took on the Maidens of Ganado. That game was in Shiner. And how about Ganado? I guess the bank was open late. 3-ball off the glass, but Shiner right back down the court. Great ball movement. They are simply too big. They just flip it up and in. Shiner gets the big win over district rival Ganado, 58-19. The Goliad Tigerettes won their matchup against Sinton. The score down in Tiger Country, 36-20. Very low scoring, but a win is a win. Goliad gets Lavernia on December 15th. They still have a ways to go before reaching district play. We went over some other basketball scores earlier this afternoon, and whether you won or lost, at least you probably didn't beat each other up on the court. You can't say that for Draymond Green, who for absolutely no reason decided to turn around and drill Yusuf Nurkic in the face. Green apologized afterwards and said he did not mean to hit Nurkic, although the video looks pretty bad to say the least. Nurkic did not seem to buy the apology, saying, quote, "That brother needs help," end quote. Well, looks like the NBA agrees with Yusuf Nurkic. He is not only suspended indefinitely, he is expected to have a discussion to begin a path of counseling and assistance. Another player that likes to swing a lot, Shohei Ohtani, just set another record. Not only is his deal the largest in North American history, he just broke another one of his records. His Dodgers jersey set an all-time record for sales in a 48-hour period, surpassing the previous record held by Lionel Messi. And Don, it's been announced the Super Bowl is going back to Los Angeles in 2027, and Texas quarterback Malik Murphy hit the transfer portal. And one more thing, and Ganado fans are probably sick to their stomach. Timpson just dominated in their state championship game, and they were so close to knocking off the Timpson Bears.
All right. Congratulations to Ganado and an outstanding season, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach. And now stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a Chihuahua goes on an epic journey down an expressway in New York. Musk is planning to start a university in Austin. You can read the Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, they're going to call the school XU. Nothing says Christmas like chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And what better way to get into the holiday spirit than on Roast Chestnuts Day, which is December 14th, tomorrow. People roasted chestnuts for thousands of years, and the holiday tradition became even more popular with Nat King Cole's 1946 The Christmas Song. The U.S. produces about 1% of the world's chestnuts. Unfortunately, a blight killed billions of the trees in the 1900s. Since then, there's been a lackluster recovery. One Chihuahua had the adventure of a lifetime when he got loose on a busy highway in New York. The Chihuahua, not a joke, real thing, named Bean, had drivers doing their best to try and catch him, even forming a blockade to protect him on the Staten Island Expressway. Forget about it. One driver managed to corral Bean under a vehicle and used a jacket to scoop him up and put him in a bag. Well, he was not exactly grateful for the rescue. The dog returned to his owner an hour after the chase. That is beating the odds on the Staten Island Expressway. A little dog like a Chihuahua. Oh my, good job.
Come here, Bean.
He almost didn't make it there.
Jeez, that was risking a lot there.
And even tougher to drive around there if it was raining like it was here today.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, but that Bean made it home, okay, in one piece. Well, good evening, everyone. We're looking for another cloudy, kind of drizzly day. There may be a break in the cloud deck late in the afternoon tomorrow, but it's Friday when I've been telling you about the... Did I tell you about the frontal system coming in on Friday? Hey! Yeah, we're looking for shower activity to increase during the day on Friday and get heaviest at sundown to midnight. So a wet Friday night, but clearing up for Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you, Mac. Now, some school children in Chicago got a reading lesson from Santa Tuesday. Former President Barack Obama surprised a class of students Tuesday entering the classroom with a sack of goodies and wearing a Santa hat. Obama proclaimed he was skinny Santa. The former president read a Christmas story to the students and he gave out some gifts. All righty then.
Nice. Wow.
It's the time of giving and
cool to have the president come visit, huh?
Oh, yeah. Skinny Santa, too.
Good.
Thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10.
Join Carolina Astrain, meteorologist Parker Cox, 25 News Now. Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.